let me tell you, that Nugget team, I want to put in my top 5, but it's super tough when you look at them at the highest levels against the Warriors and even the Lakers, and there's always that question, well, can Jokic, as a traditional defensive center, be capable enough to go up against Steph Curry and actually beat him in the best of 7? The Nuggets now are finally adding the pieces where they can find the answer to that, whether it's a yes or sadly for a Nugget fan like myself, it would be a no. Now I'm starting off just like you guys, the Warriors number 1, because they won a championship last year with relative ease without any continuity going to the postseason. Let me repeat that. They won a championship last season without having basically any continuity going to the playoffs. We saw them in that Denver series expose Jokic. No, they're exposing the entire Western Conference. They didn't get to play the Suns. The Suns were frauds, and I'm a partial Suns fan. I say that. CP breaks down every year. Steph Curry proved again he can win at the highest level as a proven number 1, had one of the greatest plays or one of the greatest performances I've ever seen, dropping 44 in game 4. That was insane. And all the while, you're getting an injection of youth in Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody. We have to see how he looks in the playoffs because it's always tougher for younger wings on the defensive end. If he can step up for them, and he is projected to be, and I expect him to be an immediate ready player, that team is going to be special. And I love Dante DiVincenzo signing. I think he could have a career year for them, depending on how his ankle is. Number 2, I got the Boston Celtics. Between them and the Clippers, they both have star wing tandems. Clippers have a better one. But when I look at the Clippers' history, I don't feel good about putting them over the Celtics. Whatever can go wrong, as Justin says, will go wrong in Los Angeles with the Clippers. And I think they've made some pretty good moves. You talked about Norman Powell, but I have to go with the Celtics over them because last year they showed they can win at the highest level. They were the best team in the NBA to end the season, and that was without a healthy Robert Williams, and all the while a guard Malcolm Brogdon, who I think adds exactly what they need. And Ime Udoka can only get better going to his second season as a coach. That team is battle-tested and only getting deeper. Number 3, I got the Clips. This team is incredibly deep, and I think if there's any team in the Western Conference that can knock off the Warriors, it is them. You have Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga plus Klay Thompson trying to defend Kawhi, and all the while PG. That wing tandem can do so much damage to any team, and they're so versatile in the way they can use their lineups. They can match up big, small, shooting. The team is basically complete outside of just some bad luck that always hits them. And Kawhi's coming off of a partially torn ACL and hasn't played over a year. So that's why I'm a little bit lower on them. Number 4, and Justin, you having them at 3 is perfectly okay. I mean, I think most of us had them in the top 3. Number 4, I have the Bucks. You talked about Middleton coming off his wrist surgery that we didn't even know about. That's on top of the multiple knee issues he was dealing with last year that knocked him out for the postseason. This team needs Middleton to win at the highest level. And I am very concerned with the offseason they had. They gave a lot of money last year to Grayson Allen. This year it was Bobby Portis. I don't know if Bobby Portis and Grayson Allen can actually close games for the Bucks as that 4th and 5th starters. Brook Lopez last year looked solid in some regular season games, but coming off of back surgery, going on 35 years old, I don't know if he can either necessarily. He was big for them in their finals run, but with age, I'm not ready to go there with him closing games for them. Is Pat Connaughton capable? This team really screwed up by letting PJ Tucker go. They needed him, and this offseason, they got worse. Joe Ingles, they brought in using their full mid-level exception. He's injured, and he was toast last year in Utah. I mean, he was really bad for them. And while he had a historic season in 2021, I got to be honest, he couldn't defend, and while he could pass and shoot pretty well, when you're going up against the Celtics, Joe Ingles is going to get played off of the floor. So they really worry about this team around Giannis, but just being the best player in the NBA, in my opinion, I had to have them in the top 5. I can't disrespect Giannis like that. Last postseason, he took the Celtics to 7 without Middleton, and if you had a healthy Middleton in there, so long as he's just doing his thing, which I fully expect, the Bucks are still a top-end contender. Number 5, could have gone Miami. Of course, my Nuggets. I decided to go Philadelphia, and that's because of the impact of PJ Tucker, who Miami is losing. I think that plays a key role in leadership they need. Tobias Harris last year stepped up and improved for them in the playoffs. And Tyrese Maxey going to his 3rd season, 2nd year as a starter. I am expecting to be even better in the playoffs. In the regular season, I don't think he'll be averaging 24 a game, but can he be ready-made as that number 2 option from the perimeter? I say so. And the biggest thing is, this is becoming it's kind of funny. The Nuggets, they're becoming like the Brooklyn Nuggets. They add in DeAndre Jordan, Jeff Green, Bruce Brown. This team, they're adding a bunch of Houston Rockets. They go and get Daniel House, PJ, D'Anthony Melton. He was drafted by the Rockets, as well as James Harden, of course. Harden, I expect to have a better season. I don't think he's going to be, Houston James Harden, as no one should expect. But can he continue with more continuity to be the best pick and roll pairing with Joel Embiid in the entire NBA? Can Embiid have more support from the perimeter and all the while more speed, athleticism, and intensity that this team has desperately lacked? Georges Niang won't be one of their 5 best players now. You can expect him to only be needed when they need shooting. And so I say this team's depth and overall star talent at the top is enough to overcome Doc Rivers being their head coach. I really think that could be seen Doc Rivers, be just enough of an amazing Boston Celtic team to win almost 65 games. I think he might have, yeah, he did, and also a title. So to recap my list, number 1 Golden State, they have to be. Number 2 Boston, number 3 the Clippers, number 4 the Bucks. And this shouldn't be a hot take. And number 5,
76ers.
76ers.
76ers. Dramatic pause by John. Yeah. No, I'm not mad at it. The only thing with you guys is that I don't think Dallas and Philadelphia should be on the list, but that's your guys' things. I think, John, you should have went with the courage of your conviction and just put your Nuggets on there, because I think if that big three is hitting on all cylinders, and yes, I do consider them a big three because I think Jokic is a superstar. Well, I don't think he is a superstar. Michael Porter Jr. has star potential. Jamal Murray is an all-star, so quote unquote, they are a big three. I just think, that starting 5 is one of the best in the NBA. I mean, you got Aaron Gordon as your 4th guy. You're doing pretty good. And then KCP as the shooting guard now. I think you're doing pretty good.
Perfect.
Where do you put Dallas and Philadelphia if you had a top 10? Like, how far out of the top 5 are they?
I got Dallas at 9. I think losing Jalen Brunson hurts. They get Tim Hardaway back too, but Dinwiddie is that only other secondary perimeter creator.
Yeah, I'd have to think about that. Probably a little bit lower than I think John probably hits the nail on the head with Dallas, and Philadelphia is probably around the same with me, because I think I would still have Miami over them. I take Brooklyn over them, Phoenix. Yeah.
Who's better, Minnesota going to next season or the Mavericks?
That's so interesting.
Mm.
I mean, I think the wild card is D'Angelo Russell on Minnesota, because the top 2 guys are Ant and Cat, right? They need D'Lo to be, what he can be, which is like an 18 point per game scorer with like 7 to 8 assists.
Well, he did that. He was just toasting the playoffs, and he didn't actually not be unplayable.
That's what I'm saying. At a consistent rate, he needs to, deep into the season.
For sure.
That's tough for me. I'm very high on Minnesota too. I love what they're doing. So
who do you guys got?
I got Dallas. I put them at 5, so I got to roll them.
I mean, I love Luka. He's kind of really alone, to be honest. I think I'm going to take Minnesota.
New Orleans or Dallas?
It's another similar thing.
Are we talking foreseeable future, or are we talking
2023
this season?
Yeah, this season. See, again, with
this
New
season,
Orleans.
Dallas.
Yeah, this season, New Orleans, they've got a similar thing to Minnesota. They've got the quote unquote big three in Zion, BI, and McCollum now. I hate that Luka's kind of basically alone. I know they have Woods, and I know they have Dinwiddie, but comparing them to like the other, top 3 players on the other teams, they just, Luka blows them all out of the water, but it's his running mates.
But let's not get twisted. Luka is the perfect team to play Luka ball. Dorian Finney-Smith is elite at what he does. Reggie Bullock is close to elite at what he does, and Maxi Kleber, as well as Tim Hardaway, are very underrated when they're making shots.
Yeah, I know.
How about another player that's kind of all in his own, though, in the grand scheme of things? He has a solid team in Portland. Portland or Dallas?
Dallas. Yeah, Dallas, easily, yeah.
I agree.
If Dallas is going to be a playoff team, I don't think Portland is going to make the playoffs.
Lakers or Dallas?
This is, because we have to put like a little caveat on there, because if they get rid of Russell Westbrook, I'll take the Lakers, because I think subtraction by addition, or addition by subtraction, whatever you want to call it, I just think the Lakers are going to be that much better if they get Westbrook off their team.
I like Dallas. I think Dallas is going to really ball out this year. I wouldn't have put them in the top 5 if I didn't think so.
People are going to see this season. Christian Wood, though he's been a loser his entire career, it's not because of him. He played in Detroit, Houston, right after trading James Harden, New Orleans, right as they were trading Anthony Davis, and Milwaukee, where he did win, but he was playing on the G League team. This pairing with Luka Doncic, Joel and pick aside, he tried to go with the not the agenda, but he was all in on this, and he said that this team could be the best in the. That he basically said this could be the best duo in the entire conference. I don't know if I'm going that far, but we saw James Harden. Christian Wood was averaging basically 23 while not making his 3-point shots, which he can do, and like 9 rebounds. So
Yeah.
now you get to play him for an entire season with Luka. I'm expecting Wood this year. Oh, Joel is saying he could be a top 25 player, which I'm not going that far. There are people, I forget which writer was in The Athletic, that didn't include Christian Wood in his top 100 players, which is so disrespectful. This guy can be a borderline all-star this upcoming season, akin to Andrew Wiggins or DeAndre Ayton. DeJounte Murray as well. I think this guy can be on DeJounte's level when it comes to production. We'll have this. DeJounte averaged almost a triple-double, but was on a pretty bad Spurs team. So, I mean, I think Wood this year can make himself in that
One team I
conversation.
want to touch on is my Miami Heat, and I know Justin had him there. You have him 4 or 5, Justin?
4.
4? Okay. Yeah, the reason I didn't put Miami in there is because they kind of stayed pat.
They got worse.
Change. Yeah, they didn't change. They lost PJ. I hated getting Dwayne Dedman back. And I'm kind of I've fallen off on Tyler Hero. I'm really starting to think like this guy is more about his money and fame than he is winning culture. I think he'd be just as happy on like a terrible Utah or Portland team not winning but making max money than being on a championship team. I
don't think he minds living in Miami though. So
no, I'm not saying. I'm saying is like I don't think winning and losing really affects him. Really, I think as long as he's getting paid, he doesn't care.